Hi, welcome to Orlando Experience. Today we're actually at the Kennedy Space Center. It's actually my first time ever here. That's kind of weird that I've never been here. This is totally my thing. But we're here for just a normal day here at the Kennedy Space Center. So we're going to take you guys around and just see everything. And I want to say big thanks to the Kennedy Space Center for providing admission today and letting us in. So we're going to be heading right in. I don't really know fully what's here, so we're just going to wander around and take a look at everything. So we've walked in right over here. Sorry, there's a loudspeaker right here. So we walked in right there. That is the Hall of Fame right there that we're not going to go in quite yet because we are heading over to one of the IMAX theaters to go ahead and see one of the movies because that's definitely what I want to do today. Obviously a bunch of rockets. They do have some special holiday decorations up right now and photo ops. They do have a big old tree back there.
But again, we still have our orbit.
Here's one of the new buildings. It's Gateway over here. We're heading actually over here to the IMAX to go see one of the shows. They do have different show times, so you probably just want to check for show times, but we are going to see, I believe it's called Space: A New Frontier first. So we've made it over to the IMAX experience. I don't believe we'll be able to film anything because obviously it's just like a movie. We are going to be seeing two at some point today. We are going to see, I believe it's called Space: A New Frontier, and I think the other one's Deep Sky, maybe? I'm not sure on the other one, but there's a giant one for Deep Sky, so I'm assuming, probably. And they are pretty long. It says this one's about 40 minutes, so we'll be in here for a little bit, but we'll see you guys afterwards. So we just got done watching Space: A New Frontier. I thought it was pretty good. I mean, it was kind of what I expected. It's more of a documentary type experience where you're kind of watching it for more educational purposes. It was kind of talking about the construction of rockets. It was talking about the Artemis missions. And it was talking about kind of general like space travel kind of stuff. So it was talking about the ISS and stuff and some new space stations and a ton of stuff like that. It was about 40 minutes and I liked it a lot, so I would definitely suggest it. I think next up we're actually heading to another thing you can't see, so sorry, bear with me. But we're heading to the VR experience they do have here, and we reserved a time at like 11:10, so we're gonna get that done just early in the day. Then we'll be moving on to more stuff that I can actually film with you guys. So here's a look at the hyperdecks. These are VR simulations with, I know, we saw these actually at APA. They're kind of stationary ones, and you stand on each kind of pedestal right there, and then air blows out, and obviously you're in VR and stuff. So we're gonna give this a go. We're currently just waiting for us to get called up. So we just got done with the VR experience here at the Kennedy Space Center. We thought it was pretty fun. I think that system works very well, and it gets people on and off quick, and it's not as, taxing because you're not really walking around. I found it pretty fun. You were just kind of going around the moon. You were collecting like rocks, and there were some pretty like fast like car sections where you're going along a track and stuff. And there was like heat and wind blowing from that machine. It was really cool. So definitely would suggest. Again, I don't know if I mentioned this before, you do have to have a reservation for it. So just download the app. They had plenty today, even though it's pretty busy. So just download the app, just make sure you get one when you get here. Now we're actually gonna be heading over to the bus tours. That is towards the back because we figured we might just get it done because it is one of the longer experiences here, and it will actually take us out to like the launch pad area. So the bus tours do run from 9:30 to 2:30. So it's not an all day, so we figured we might just get it done here kind of early, just so we're not waiting until the last second to do it at around 2:30. But you take a bus and it heads out to the kind of launch pad area, and it'll take you all around.
Way out in the distance beyond palm trees, that's launch pad 39A. I'll talk more about that as we get over close to City Hall of the stars here. crawler number 1 and crawler number 2. Crawler number 2 is showing inside the VAB. That's where they are. And then once we clear the building here, the items to the left, they kind of look like out of a Star Wars movie. That's the mobile launch the space shuttle program. And then back to the right is what they're doing for Artemis 2. We're about to go over a little rise here. There's a little waterway to the right that sometimes I see around. However, only Apollo 10 launches that pad. There was 53 space shuttle launches, including the ill-fated Challenger in 1986. It's now home to the SLS rocket. Artemis 1 launched from that pad. And the next launch, sending man and woman to the moon, will be launched in 2039. So these are pictures from.
So we now made it over to the Apollo Center. As you saw some highlights there of the bus ride. It took a little bit longer, but there wasn't much to look at times. Obviously, you saw the VAB. That's the Vehicle Assembly Building. We actually did get to see Crawler 1. It was kind of off to the side. I'm sure I pointed it out, but it was a little harder to see. And then obviously we saw the launch pads way out in the distance with all the seating there. So obviously a great ride over. We're currently just waiting to head into the Apollo building. Doors only open every like 10 minutes. I think there's a little bit of a pre-show for the building. So we're just waiting for doors to open and then we'll be heading inside.
When I was a kid, I used to dream about flying through space. But man took off to fly to the moon. It was a journey that began 12 years before that rocket ever left the ground. We had our own astronauts, and they were eager and ready to take the big ride. But our manned space program couldn't seem to get off the ground. That any man had dared to attempt. But step by step, mission by mission, we orbited the Earth, perfecting the skills and technologies we would need on this incredible journey. The most unforgiving, hazardous environment there is. We could never make it risk-free, and the men who flew them knew that. We didn't send men into space again until Apollo 7 orbited the Earth, testing some of the new designs. As it was on December 21st, 1968.
Please gather all of your belongings. Take small children by the hand.
This is the firing room, launch control for the Apollo missions. This is not a mock-up. These are the very consoles we sat at when men first took off to fly to the moon. The tragedy of Apollo 1 had put us a year and a half behind. We were making up for it in one big leap. And we were doing it with a rocket that no man had ever flown before.
15 seconds. All three stages of propellants pressurized at this time as we come up on the 60-second mark on a flight to the moon. We are still at this time. T-minus 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence start. The engines are armed. 4, 3,
It's the only one that can take you to another planet. I actually got to fly one on a second flight to the moon called Apollo 13. But that's another story.
So that was actually a pretty cool, like almost pre-show for this room. It was really cool recreation. It was cool that they were using the actual like consoles and everything from the actual room. And then it had a lot more effects going on. I don't know how well you can actually tell. It might have just been blown out, but the windows were like shaking behind us and the benches below us were shaking when the rocket was actually launching. Obviously, we're in a room with one of the real boosters in the back behind us, one of the real rockets. And then they have a few different exhibits we'll be able to see all around, kind of off to the sides and stuff. Yeah, I feel like this is why you come to the Space Center. This is kind of what you imagine when you think of Kennedy Space Center, is coming to see all of this in the Apollo missions. It's very, very cool in here. It's one of those situations that it's like larger than life kind of situation where you just like, it's really crazy to be actually standing next to it. So here's a look at actually one of the capsules. We're in a little bit of a line. Obviously not a whole lot in it actually right now. They do have a few interactive stuff over here that you can play with. And they do have a thing over here where you can actually take pictures and be a part of the moon. There's a lot for us to look at though in here. There's even a model over here of the rocket. And when we came over here, actually the side of the rocket is all hollow. So we can actually see kind of all the inner workings. Obviously it is very funny to just look up and then you actually see it. You can actually see one of the stages of separation right in front of us. And over here on the left side, they do have a spot where you can take photos. Kind of as a family, they do have like astronaut outfits. Again, they have a lot of interactive stuff here, kind of just stuff about learning. This one seems to be just like some different facts about the Apollo missions over here. They do have a cafe over here that I do think is a good move because you're a decent amount away from food. And if you come over here as a school trip or something and you just want somewhere to eat, there is Moon Rock Cafe right over here. And then we've come over here to the end of the rocket where we do have obviously the lander right here, right in front of us. They do have a few interactive things. This one isn't working, but there's interactive spots in front of it. And you can actually see the vehicle they transported them in, and then a kind of makeshift little version of the elevator right above us. Then up to like the launch platform area. They do have an inside look of where the astronaut van, what it looked like. Very spacious seats, obviously. And then right behind that, they do just have the Apollo 1 tribute that we are going to be hitting inside right now. So they do have some spots here honoring all the Apollo 1 crew. Some facts about them and some of their memorabilia that is inside these cases, but they do have like screens over them, so it's just showing some stuff. But they'll pop back out in a second. At the end of the tribute, they do have a spot called the Lunar Theater. Unfortunately, I do not believe we will be getting to it today. I'm not positive what it is. I would say it's got to do something with the launch of a few of the different rockets because it's kind of themed to an old home, the entry area. Unfortunately, we won't have time for it today because we are already running a little close on time. But we're going to continue on. There's a couple more things for us to see before we head back on the bus and head back.
Down there.
Then over here on the right before we're exiting, they do have a few of the different rovers set up right over here. Then our last room in this spot is an area with a few different artifacts. It's like kind of themed to a vault. We have one of the capsules over here too. And there's just a bunch of stuff from some of the different missions, stuff they've collected from like the moon or space, suits and everything. Then on our way out, they do have a gift shop that I do think they have some exclusive stuff over here for just this shop, but they do have another shop that we'll look at in a little bit over at the full Kennedy Space Center. But if you're interested in any merch, this is a spot where you're going to find a lot of it. Especially, it seems like a lot of the Apollo merch is going to be over here. So I had a really good time over here at the Apollo Center. Would love to come back and spend a little bit more time looking around, but we are kind of running out of time. We're trying to catch a couple more shows over at the normal area, so we're going to be heading back on the bus and just right back over to the Kennedy Space Center. So now we're at the main visitor center again. Again, I think that's a must do. Definitely do the bus tour when you're here. Make sure you get on it before it closes. It could change from time to time on when it's open or not. But again, just make sure you get on that, because I would say that's kind of the thing to do, is head out to the Apollo building and see all that. And that's always kind of what I saw when I saw a lot of things about the Kennedy Space Center, was all of that. So again, make sure you do that. But we're going to be heading back around, doing some more stuff over here. So we made our way over here to the Universe Theater that has a Peanuts show called All Systems Are Go. So we're going to be heading inside and watching some of this.
Mail call, Snoopy. Looks like you have a letter here from an Artemis. That's an unusual name for a dog. Dear Snoopy, please get to the Johnson Space Center by 0900 Central to start your training. Don't NASA. Astronaut Woodstock? NASA? Wait, Snoopy!
Taken up jogging, Charlie Brown.
I haven't. I've taken up chasing. I know it's unbelievable, but Snoopy just got a letter from NASA. It's about something called Artemis from someone named Charlie Blackwell Thompson.
Charlie Blackwell's first woman and first person of color on the moon. I wonder if they'd consider letting me be the first woman on the moon.
I think you need years of training to be an astronaut.
Marcy!
It's nice to see you, Charles. You work for NASA?
Not officially.
I'm just here for the extra credit and the freeze-dried ice cream. So, is Snoopy really training for a mission?
He is. In fact, he's now at Kennedy Space Center on Launchpad 39B.
I see. Is that a good launch pad?
It's the very same pad used to launch Apollo 10. Okay, stand by. All systems are go. 1,000 miles beyond the moon before returning to Earth.
That's incredible. I hope you're getting a lot of extra credit, Marcy.
Soon, Snoopy and Woodstock will be back on Earth and will look through all the data they collected.
Hello, Earth.
On the moon, traveling in the sky, I feel so light, I could fly and fly. More fun going up and down.
Need to be expanded. Franklin, you're in the Gateway too? How many of my friends are getting extra credit working for NASA?
Milton Crater even suggests we could find water and precious metals.
We're looking for gold on the moon?
On this mission, you're taking the HLS on a
Joyride.
essentially. Get out there and explore. Be careful and have fun.
See you soon, Snoopy. Years from now, new planets, new galaxies, something we can't even dream yet. That's the power of imagination, Snoopy. If we can dream it, we'll find a way to achieve it.
I thought that was a cute little family show. Definitely more catered towards a younger audience. It was kind of more of a general like explanation of the Artemis mission and what's kind of the future holding with it. So I thought it was a cute little show and definitely a great one for the little ones if you're here and you have some. So now I think we're about done with anything time. So I'm gonna be heading back up to the front to the Hall of Legends. That's just like the Hall of Fame, like the NASA Hall of Fame area. Walk through that and then we'll just continue throughout all the buildings we haven't seen so far and see anything we haven't.
Kindly ask that you exit using the doors located at the rear of the theater. Also,
Personal heroes. You know, I have a lot of heroes. What was my hero? Your hero. Superman.
Iron Man, Luke Skywalker.
I am who I am today because of my father.
My father was a hero of mine.
Because he protects me when my mother tries to beat me up. A hero is someone I respect, like my mom.
Everything that they do inspires me to want to be like them. You need a pioneer spirit and just be willing to push the boundaries of what we can achieve as students, as people.
Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin walked on the moon for the first time. I was 10 years old.
America's first man into space at 5,000 miles per hour. Alan Shepard will run up to 115 miles of moon defect. He will weigh nearly 1,000 pounds with the punishing acceleration of a giant nuclear rocket.
The million-old desire of all pilots, when you walk up to the airplane, you always kick the tires just to be sure they're not flat.
Let's go to ACS off, pumps power on.
We're at a spin at Gina. Send command 400, undock now. It's actually getting worse. Power the system off. Further re-entry control system. It might just give us the pressure we need. Command, we will prep for emergency landing at 7-3.
78, I asked them to rescue down to the base. 3 hours after splash.
The space program was just started.
Not a good idea, Major. You'll be a flag man again.
Our fellow Marines need us to get this done. I'm going in.
Roger that.
Going low. I'm hit. Still have control.
Fire. Good hit. There's not much left in your tail section.
After that, let's see if I can make an activation. He's extinguished yet. Well, I think we're about to find out. Ask me again after we take out these MiGs. Roger that. Over here. It'll be a memorable flight. The flight I'll remember most is your Apollo 8. The first flight to go around the moon.
Now we're gonna land on that moon.
As I walked with my arrow and looked up at that flaming candle taking off for the stars, it all came full circle. A spark of inspiration shaped my career, and my journey took me beyond my wildest dreams to places like the moon. And legends drive us into the future. Each generation inspires the next to go further into the unknown, beyond our solar system, beyond our galaxy. I can't wait to see where you will go.
So that was two very good pre-shows. I definitely like the second one a lot. I think it had a lot of cool stuff in it, kind of showing some experiences and a little bit into the future. So the first thing you come into is some Trailblazers. That they are playing like little like media things of each one, but they do have little facts about each one on the wall. And then over here we do have the main hall that we did come in here for. So it seems like this Hall of Fame area isn't just for people, it's kind of showing different inventions in their kind of area. So that one's kind of different inspiring kind of things that inspired a lot of people to do things. This is just passion, showing sports jerseys, stuff like that. Curious. There's much more. Kind of like that where it's showing little snippets here and there of some different things that have influenced a lot of things that humans have done. And here is the Mercury Mission Control for Friendship 7. I wouldn't be surprised if these are the real computers that they use, because they did have it for the Apollo mission back in the other area. It's a really cool mock-up to see.
If indeed the heat shield was loose. Very.
And over here is the Gemini 9A capsule. I believe this is obviously the real one. You can actually see inside. You can actually see on the back side all the heat shield that is like glassed off, obviously, but it took all the brunt from re-entry. Then this is a little bit more what I was expecting. Right in here towards the end of the exhibit is the Hall of Fame for all the astronauts. Obviously we'll not be able to stop and actually look at them all, but this is obviously all the astronauts from the United States, and it's going to show you their missions below it and kind of all what they did. It does look to be some interactive stuff where you can go to mission indexes and stuff and actually see full things about them. It's super cool. Alrighty, so I just got out of the Hall of Fame. I actually really enjoyed that. I think the Heroes and Legends, I think that was a cool experience. I really liked, the first pre-show wasn't too bad, but the second one was really cool. So definitely would suggest it just to see those and seeing some of the exhibits in there. You saw little snippets there. It's a cool thing to just look around. I wish I had more time today. This is definitely a thing that I need to come back to just spend some time looking around at some point. But we're gonna be heading on to another building to go see some more. So now we made it over here to the Atlantis building. They do have a full space shuttle here. You might have seen it in the background for a little bit or in the thumbnail. Don't know if I put it in that one or not. But it's quite large and you walk right below it. Heading to the Atlantis building. I'm not for sure what's in here, but I know there is a simulator type ride. And I think there's a little bit of other things, but we'll find out when we get in. So we are in line for seeing the simulator. It seems like there's going to be a pre-show before, and then we'll actually go into the simulator. So, and then obviously there's the Atlantis craft inside the building that we'll see later on after we're done with it.
So you want to reduce the CO2 buildup? We need a better safety margin. The crew can tolerate a short-term increase, but... Engineering? Anyone know why we're here? For this.
Good morning. We're going to create America's next spacecraft. It's going to launch like a rocket and land like an airplane, and it's going to be reusable. Can't do that with a rocket.
Easy about putting a ship back up into space, let alone a whole fleet of ships. But first, let's talk about the launch. We have never designed engines and vehicles that can be reused. But we will, and once we're in orbit, we go to work. We want to take all kinds of cargo up there in addition to the people. Science labs, satellites, even a space station. And when all the work is done, we gotta bring everybody back home.
In Florida. How should she get back here? It's a glider.
Buy her a plane ticket home.
And astronaut John Young, the commander of the mission, replied, "That's a right fine speech. We sure appreciate it."
This launch of Columbia marks NASA's first manned test.
So unfortunately, we weren't able to film that second pre-show. It was no filming. It was kind of just an immersive little theater again with some cool lighting and stuff around the room. Really cool part though, and why it's kind of unfortunate, was the ending was super, super cool with the reveal that was right behind us. There is the theater, and it kind of like went opaque, and then we were able to see the Atlantis aircraft in front of us. I did not think it was this big in here. I'm impressed. So there's obviously a whole downstairs and a whole upstairs that we're seeing. This is one of the older telescopes fully here with us. Super, super big. Then they have some sort of movie talking about the telescope behind us. But yeah, the Atlantis craft is super, super cool. There's definitely a whole reason to come in here. They do have some more interactive stuff in here. They do have a lot of interactive things, so obviously a good place to take little ones and stuff, because keep them entertained, or it will keep you entertained, one of the two. And again, this building's going to be full of a lot of facts and different little memorabilia and stuff, just like this little wrench here that flew actually on some of the missions. So we're about to make our way downstairs, but I thought it would be super cool to see the actual bottom side with all the heat shield all over it. You can see all the spots where it burned up really bad. Some areas that it didn't hit as much at all. Again, I just think this is so impressive to see in full scale. It's one of those things that's really hard to understand when you're watching it through, you know, a TV or on your phone or something. It's one of those things that you almost have to see. So unfortunately, we don't really have time to look at everything, but again, there's so much stuff in here. There's so many different things you can see about the ISS and the Atlantis, kind of just all over the place, that are all kind of, you know, it's interesting to see some different ways that everything works everywhere. And then there's some interactive, again, stuff, especially for the kids everywhere. Then right above us here is the shuttle launch experience. It does have a little bit of a line, but I think we are going to try to get in line and do it here just soon-ish after we walk in here real quick. Okay, so over here is just another experience area where there's a few different like shuttle experiences where you can practice like landing and piloting and stuff like that. Again, super cool. I don't think we're going to do any of this right now. I think we're going to go ahead and try to get in line for this as long as it's not too long. So we've gotten in line for the simulator now. I'm not fully sure what this is. From a photo I saw earlier in the day, I don't remember where it was, it kind of almost looked like a Star Tours type simulator, so it's like a bigger simulator. But again, I have no clue. I don't know if we'll be able to film on ride with you guys, but we'll ask when we get to the front. But right now, the line isn't too bad. It seems to be only like one switch back.
That seems like it goes by really fast.
After a while, my face hurt.
I was thinking, that's weird. Why is my face hurt? I realized because I was...
I've flown the shuttle into space 4 times, twice as a commander. My colleagues have put together an interesting little experience for you today. You're about to go on a high-fidelity launch simulation, and I'm going to help you get through it. For a few basics. Launch preparation for your mission would have started accelerating here at KSC months in advance. But let's cut through all that and move you way closer to launch. I'll start your clock at, say, 4 hours before liftoff, when it's still dark out. Before you got suited up, the shuttle's external tanker ET was fueled up. And opened all these team members from living and breathing things. Then they pulled back the access arm and left. Everybody else is smart enough to get out of the air and fail. And you and your crewmates are strapped to the reason why. Within 400 feet of the pad, the flames and heat from the engines will kill you. Within 800 feet, the sound will kill you. Within 4,000 feet, the snakes and alligators might kill you because all that low-frequency vibration really stirs them up. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's back up to T-minus 10 seconds. Move around your vehicle. And T-minus 6.6 seconds, you'll hear a loud roar, and you'll feel a big rumble. After the main engines start, you'll feel the shuttle sway forward a little, but don't worry. It's engineered to come back to vertical before you go. That's what we call the twang. Start. 7, 6, 5, we up and over. 3, 2, 1, and lift off. Once you hear the timer, you'll roll in vertically to face down position. And with all that acceleration pushing you back to your seat, you probably don't even feel like you're upside down. About a minute into the launch, the aerodynamic forces reach a critical level we call max Q. Here, the forward thrust of the rockets is fighting the resistance of the air, and the shuttle is like an aluminum can being squeezed harder and harder. To make sure this doesn't happen, we throttle down the engines to maintain pressures we engineered the shuttle to withstand. Once you pick, naturally, we have hundreds of contingency plans in case something does go wrong. Take a moment to memorize these now. Got it all? Good. Our time here is up. You ready?
So on our way out of the Atlantis building, we do have another gift shop with just more merch. Obviously, I think a lot of this stuff, after we walked through it earlier, without filming, obviously, the gift shop, it kind of had everything. So it just seems like another way for you to buy it if you're interested in buying it on your way out, or if this was your last stop or anything. So obviously we couldn't bring you guys in with us. They told us no filming in the ride. That's perfectly fine. I mean, everyone has their rules, and I kind of get with that one. The best way to describe it, I would say, is think Star Tours, but it's a little more intense. It's not super intense. I didn't think it was like sickening or anything, but it's kind of vibeless. You got in, you sat down, you had a seatbelt and stuff, and then I think it brought you full vertical facing up. And then I don't think it spun. Honestly, couldn't really tell. You lift off, and then the seat starts shaking really violently to simulate the the takeoff. And then there's a few like jettisons and stuff, and then an emergency and stuff like that. And then at the very end, the top of the shuttle does like come off, and you can see like the stars and stuff. And then you saw as we're walking out that really cool exit area. I thought it was overall a great experience. Definitely worth the wait if you're willing to wait for it. Obviously, again, not too intense. I would say you're not going to, if you have problems with simulators, you shouldn't have too many problems. But it still is a little bit more intense than Star Tours, I would say. Just real quick before we head to our last building of the day, I thought we'd just hop into the gift shop really quick, take a quick look around. Obviously, they are going to have some holiday merch that obviously won't be here soon because it's almost Christmas and almost done with the holidays. This is a 2-floor gift shop, so we'll head up in just a second. They have a lot of different stuff. They do have some Artemis stuff. This was the stuff I was actually looking at. I don't love trucker hats, or I would totally buy that Artemis hat. It's all really cool there. They do have like official sponsored stuff like Yeti, and then they do actually have a lounge fly on the other side. Here's the lounge fly. So if either of those things are your kind of thing and you're looking for one from here, they do have some exclusive stuff. Here's a look at the kind of upstairs area. It's definitely a kids forward area with mostly kids clothing. So if you're looking for kids clothing or toys, this is going to be your spot for it, is the upstairs area of this gift shop. But they do have stuff like models and all that good stuff. Well, they got me. I did find an Artemis hat that is not a trucker back hat, so it was like $40, so not too bad. We're heading into our last building now. That is the gateway building that is right in front of us here. There is a couple more sims in here. I don't know if we'll have time to do them, but we'll show you guys around in here anyways. So again, this is another kind of interactive area. So it's got a lot of interactive stuff for everybody to try with screens and stuff with physical sets. It's not too big of a building. It's not like the last one where it's like, whoa, this is massive, but it's still pretty decent size. They do have I think a little cafeteria in here. And then up there is where the Sims are. And then just all along that is waiting areas for the Sims. And for the Sims, we did look at them earlier off camera, and there's an observation bay that seems to be kind of basically the sim, but without the actual sim elements. So if you're like, you can get nauseous or you're just not good with simulators, you can still see what it is just from the observation bay. That I think is super, super nice to add, because it just allows it to be, you know, everybody. They do have some newer stuff in here. I believe this is their newest facility, if I'm not mistaken. So there's like a hologram map here that's pretty cool. You can actually move around. Don't know how well it's showing up on camera with all the glare. Looks really great in real life, trust. They have a bunch of the newer space suits, like the SpaceX and Boeing space suit. Then some of the new like capsules and everything. Then obviously above us, some more rockets. I think we are heading up into the simulators now. They're only 25, so really not too bad. We made it just in time. So we're gonna head up to some of the simulators and try these ones out. So unfortunately, we did get up here, and it does seem that it closed. I don't know if it's normally closing early, but it is closed right now. But up here, there is a few more interactive elements. That includes over here some interactive planet stuff, and then they do have one for the James Webb Telescope that shows you some holograms of some of the different pictures it's taken. Really cool if you've never watched any of those. Another super cool building with more interactive stuff. But I think we are heading out right now, so we'll meet you out at the front to wrap up our day. Well, there's my very first time here at the Kennedy Space Center. I had a ton of fun today. I really think this is an all-day experience, if you didn't know. I would definitely get here. We were basically here at open to close, and we still didn't get to experience everything. So if you're planning a day here, make sure you get here very early and spend the full day. Again, I want to say a big thanks to the Kennedy Space Center for providing us tickets today. I really appreciate that. But a few key areas I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed the Atlantis building, and that simulator was super fun. Just seeing the Atlantis was super cool. But I also thought the Apollo area was probably my favorite. The bus tour over, getting to see the big building and the crawler and everything. It was a really cool experience overall as somebody that's watched a lot of that stuff and enjoys it. So, I think this is a place that you can enjoy it even if you're not a big fan of space stuff. I think you can super enjoy all the simulators, all the things to do. And I like that there's not really upcharges here, that you're not paying extra for the simulators or the bus tour. It's just all included in your admission. I really, really enjoy that. Don't love when they have upcharges, but obviously not here. So thanks for watching. I hope this video brought a little more joy to you today, and we'll see you guys next time.